Hey YouTube, what's happening? Chris here. Want to bring you guys a little update on Litecoin. Today it's at $40.25. We're down almost 6%. And guys, this is what I was talking about. I know some people were saying yesterday, oh, you're saying it's going to pull back and it's continuing to run up. It's always going to pull back when you have straight shots up. That's something that I've learned, and that's what I want to instill in you guys. That, yeah, it may push up a little bit farther than you were expecting over the night time, but you have to go by the indicators. And what I was seeing was that bearish divergence. Price was going up while the RSI was going down. Do you see this right here, guys? So look where the price was here. Price pushed up higher and you lost relative strength. So that's how I knew that it was going to be coming back down, and that's why I wasn't FOMOing and buying up at $52 or $53, whatever it got up to. It ultimately got up to, yeah, about $52. But what we were doing yesterday, we were going through and we were talking about these big gaps. Do you see this big gap? So this blue line is your 50 moving average, and you have this big gap or hole in between it. And what happened is price always gets sucked back to it, is what it seems like. Even here you have a gap. What happened? Price went back through it and even down through it. So what if we caught this error, this gap in between here, and we pull back down into the $45 range? And people would think I was crazy for saying this, but guys, this is what happens. You can't be fooled just because we're on a short-term trend change right now. You know, you can't lose your mind. You still have to realize we're in a long-term bear market. We're still there. We have not made a macro higher high yet. On this trend change, we've been making higher highs and higher lows, which is great. But we still, on the macro sense, have not made that higher high, and that's what I'm looking for. So until I see all these signs, I'm not going to be convinced and say, hey, we're at the bottom of a deep bear market. I think it's irresponsible until we find out what's going on. But my goal here is to not let people FOMO into things or say, oh my gosh, it's going to the moon today. There's always going to be pullbacks because smart traders are going to be taking profits. It's going to start with the scalpers, then the day traders, then the swing traders, and the long-term investors. And that's how it works. But we're going to dig into this, my friends. If you could, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're trying for 100 likes on this video. And remember, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm here showing you the up, the down, and the sideways and what I'm doing. I didn't chase Litecoin here. I'm still waiting for a nice healthy pullback. We could have a pullback, guys, onto the 20 where we're having right now. If that doesn't hold, then we're going to be down around that $45, which would be this 50 moving average. And then you would have a 100-day moving average coming somewhere in here where it may be coinciding with this $40 line. So this is still a hot spot that I'm looking at. And if that doesn't hold, then look to test this 200-day moving average on the 4-hour. And there would be nothing wrong with that. Coming down here and testing this trend line, there would be nothing wrong with that. Look how much air we caught here. And then we pulled back here, we pulled back, and then we pulled back onto this line. So who's to say we couldn't pull back to this line before ultimately going higher, right? I have to be proven on this RSI and through some of these other indicators that we are going to continue to move up. And the signs that I was seeing yesterday, it was not showing that. I knew that a pullback was going to be coming. So now let's dig into this, that we've seen this. Do you see how price is going up, but this was going down? The RSI. Okay? Always keep that in mind. And look at these gaps. Do you see how far away this gap from the 50 and then it came back to it and touched it? Look how far away we are from it now, and most likely we'll come back and touch it at some point. Okay? So what I was seeing yesterday, and you know how I love looking at candles. Look at this. Whenever we have these wicks, these rejections, that's the bears swatting the bulls back down saying you're not going to go any higher. And then we dropped back down. And look what we were seeing up here. We had a rickshaw man doji here, right? And then we had all these wicks up here where we were trying to push higher, but we could not get up above it. And we kept getting swatted back down. And you've seen that rejection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for close to 16 hours or more, we were just being completely rejected up here. And then we had this confirmation follow through. And you're seeing us fall back down. And now it looks like we even tried to push back up to $49, test that 50 again, and we may fall down through there. So the next stop would be around that $46. And then, like I said, I would look at around $44, then ultimately down here around $40. Those would be my targets. I'm not rushing into anything. I'm not chasing anything. You guys can do whatever you want to do. And I'm happy for you because in the long term, this is a very cheap price for Litecoin, $48.35. If you're buying now and you plan on holding to the top of the next bull run, this is an awesome time to buy. But if you're trying to get in and out and you're trying to make profits on Litecoin, you're trying to build your profits in Litecoin, then I wouldn't be FOMOing to anything. You know, that big push up that we had there, you see all that rejection. Pay very close attention to the wicks, guys. If I can tell you anything, that's something that I'm really going to dig into is the wicks. And then another thing, go up to indicators, put on your Bollinger Bands, and this is going to show you when we get overextended. So on the 4-hour look, we were wicking outside of the bands, and that means most likely we're going to be getting pushed back down. And we could get pushed to the bottom of this band here. First, we'd have to get through this middle band, which we may lose, but then we'd come down here ultimately, and you can see where this 50 moving average is coinciding with the bottom of this band. So that might be another good area for a potential long around that $45 for a continuation up. That may be a spot to go long. Remember, guys, I'm not telling you what to do. These are the things I'm looking at. But still, it's a laddering and it's a scaling in process. I wouldn't blow my whole wad right here, right? You'd want to continue to ladder in if you're seeing things. You know, you'd want to have heavier buys the lower that you get. But, you know, it could definitely come even down here and test this 200 at 37.06. People think I'm crazy for that, but anything can happen in this space, guys. We've seen it. If I would have told you in December last year when Litecoin was $375 that Litecoin was going to hit $22, people would have screamed from the top of the rooftops, yelling at me saying you're an idiot, you're a moron, this and that, and it happened. So for me to say, ooh, we may have a $10 pullback from here, a $5 pullback from here, I don't think that's crazy at all. And I want to be honest with you all. But you see the top of the Bollinger Bands, how we just got overextended. Now what we're going to do, we're going to step out on the 1-day chart and see what our close look like. See, even on the 1-day chart, we were overextended. We were at the top of the Bollinger Band. So maybe a pullback here again to that $42, $41, which would put us at the middle band. And also, it would be that 20 EMA, which I've told you is so powerful in cryptocurrency as a support right in this area. So there could still be a lot more pulling back to happen. See that pattern up there? We had that rejection. We tried to push up with that nice long day candle, and then we got rejected here, which it's a bigger version, but it's basically like a Harami pattern where you have, this is the parent body, and then you have the child body right here. And then that can be that reversal that you want to pay attention to. Normally the Harami, you got a shorter body right in here, but this is okay. We're just going to use it for this example. So that could be a top right there, how this was a bearish engulfing candle of this candle right here, and we got pushed back down. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some downside action still come back down a little bit more. And on the 1-day chart, now that I'm going to pull these off, let's take a look at the MACD and the histogram and all that and see how it's looking. The main thing that I want to see for us staying in this bull market, or not, well, we're not in the bull market yet, but this short-term bull run that we're in, excuse me, or this reaction that we're in, I want to see what the MACD looks like, but most of all, I want to see this trend line hold down in here. If we start breaking below that and closing below that, then there could be trouble. We could really start dropping fast. So there's still a lot of areas to look at, but ultimately this is the trend line that I have to see stay intact for us to continue a move up. That's what I need to see. That's just me. Now we're going to look at our MACD, see how this is looking. Let me see. Alright, so our MACD, we had that nice push up in the histogram, then we got pushed back down. We tried to go back up, and now it kind of looks like we're just moving sideways a little bit here, but you can tell it's a little overextended just in the fact that it almost crossed this signal line, then it came back up, and now it's starting to just move sideways again, and ultimately it's going to intersect with this line here, and we're either going to bounce up it and continue up, or we're going to cross over it and go down. So in terms of the MACD, we're still bullish. We're up over this cross, but you're starting to get that hook there. And what you can do is work your way through on the MACD. So we're on the day, then go to the 12 hours and see what it looks like. See, we're starting to get that cross down here. Then you go to the 8 hours. Starting to get a little more cross in the short term. The histogram's starting to move down. Then you go to the 4 hours. And these are just tips I'm giving you guys. You know, look here. Now it's crossing down through, and the histogram's starting to tick lower. So most likely today, we're going to be heading a little bit lower for Litecoin, like we've already seen at that 5, almost 6% down, right? But you know, me saying that we're going to have a retracement doesn't mean I'm giving up hope in Litecoin, guys. It means that I'm being realistic, and the way that the trend changes here and that we're going to move is these higher highs and higher lows, and you're going to have pullbacks. So you're going to have to test the last higher low that we had back here, just like we've tested the higher highs where we got over it. So we pushed up here, then we came down and we actually made a higher high, even though on the RSI we made a lower low or a lower high. But here's a high right here. This wick made it over top there. Higher high, higher high, higher high, higher low, higher low, higher low. This mess in here, higher low. Then we're going to have to see what happens with this pullback. Could we go up from where we're at now and even make another move up to attempt this? Let's see, it would be around that $56. Yeah, it can happen. And guys, that's why I said I'm never going to tell you that I'm a professional in this, because this market can move in different ways than what the books say it will. It's just a different beast. There's a lot of similarities, but it's a different beast. But look for these gaps. See that big gap right in here? And then we got pulled back close to the line. And now we're gapping away from it again. Who's to say we're not going to pull back into it around $42.60 there? That's a possibility, right? But, you know, these are the things that I just wanted to bring you. This is what's happening with Litecoin. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see where we get a pullback to. Is it going to be around that $45 to $42? Let's see if $40 gets defended. But ultimately, we need to hold on to this lower trend line here. And if you really step out and we do the weekly chart, which is important to look at. You know, let me see if I can find a better one here, guys. 1 second. On the week. Okay. So let me clear this off. Tell you what we still need to do. So on the weekly, we still have the 50 moving average overhead, which is at around $75. So that's going to be a tough monkey to get over as well. And then what you have down here, we are up over, and for the week it would be great to close up above this 20 EMA, because we have not closed up above it since May. So you can't tell me that that's not something that's significant and a big deal. You know, and at the bottom here, we actually did put in this doji candle. Then we had this bullish engulfing candle of this doji here, and we continued to move up, which is good. That's what we needed. We needed good follow through off the doji candle. Really needed to pay attention to that. But look where you would ultimately be buying. Say you were just getting in for the long term, guys. We're near the bottom here. We're at the bottom. You know, yeah, could we go lower? Absolutely. Back down and maybe double bottom here. You could go up and then come back down, hit it again, and then make your move. Anything can happen in this space. And that's all I want you to be aware of. So hopefully this helps each and every one of you. Litecoin's at $48.43. I hope you didn't FOMO around that $51, $52. But we're just going to have to continue to see what happens today, guys. So don't forget to give a like, comment, share, hit that notification bell, everything like that. And I'll continue to bring these videos the best that I can. God bless each and every one of you. Take care, my friends.